The following video is about the meme of cat-eating crazy people in Ohio. August, sometime. Again, Wire News Report is not telling us the actual date. Sometime in August, a 26-year-old U.S.-born woman, American, not a foreigner, just shut up, in Canton, Ohio, was arrested, and there's a body cam video of her after she killed and started eating a cat. She's in an altered state, very likely high on something, and probably was going through some stuff that some of us would never be able to recover from, and I hope she has a swift recovery. I don't care what the conditions are. The little bit I was able to stomach watching, I paused and then stopped watching it. I'm pretty sure she was in an altered state, and I'm pretty sure that screwed her up pretty badly. But that was August. Also in August, because a bunch of people running away from misery in Haiti ended up in the United States, in Ohio, people became uncomfortable because this causes disruption in the population. It will. An influx of people, a large number, or even a medium-sized number, is going to disrupt things. Neo-Nazis in August decided to show up armed, waving swastika flags and doing Roman salutes at a Springfield Jazz and Blues Festival because certain groups of people are there that they want to intimidate and frighten, and the local police called it a little peaceful protest. What did we used to do about Nazis? Let's move on. Now, the individuals that are not going to be named throughout the rest of this video are going to have the initials KN, kilonewton, and EL, L. So, KN and L. This is where the rumors started. Again, it started from an actual story that people heard. It was reported on, and then it was forgotten quickly because it's just a crazy person doing crazy shit. But here we go. Springfield, Ohio Crime and Information is a private Facebook group, which is always a bad idea because we can't archive it. We can't hold people accountable for their statements, and sometimes I wonder if that's why they do it. One of them I'm going to call the local rumor monger, a 35-year-old EL. In early September, a month or so after this, again, we don't have the exact time and date stamp somehow, said her neighbor, KN, said that KN's daughter said that a friend of KN's daughter couldn't find her pet cat. Found the pet cat, and it was dead. It was hanging from a tree branch. And supposedly this was at a Haitian immigrant's house. Later on, someone posted, or it's in the story, depending on which version or iteration you're looking at, they also must be doing this to dogs. And Snyder Park ducks and geese went missing and must be related. And then one of these individuals tried to authenticate this by saying something that's not true, that the Rangers and the police were corroborating some of this. Now, this would have gone under the radar because it's on a private posting, private Facebook posting. But it got out, and you hear Donald Trump saying the following: they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there, which has obviously not ever been true. After looking through 11 months of records for Clark County, officials said they couldn't find any calls regarding any pets being stolen. When people lose their pets, they call it in. It's an annoyance. It's pesky. They always make notes of these things because it's one of those things that they keep for statistic reasons. And in the last 11 months, they hadn't seen any complaints in Clark County. Now, obviously, there's an incident of someone finding out that their cat was killed and eaten by somebody in August. So that was fresh in people's minds subconsciously. It's one of those stories that's a flyby, not a drive-by. It goes on the news and it's off the next day because It's a crazy incident that isn't really going to be hanging out with people doing commentary for 6 months or something stupid like that. So, were these people trying to lend credence to that story that they barely remembered by embellishing the living crap out of it and making sure it's a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, and then embellish it some more by saying you can corroborate it because the rangers and police said Snyder Park ducks and geese went missing, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and also it must be dogs as well, not just cats. Now, at this point, we have somebody trying to double down on their story, or not. Let's see what happened after it was revealed to them that this, number one, had went national and viral because J.D. Vance repeated it too, apparently, and several other people. Became a cause celeb. And then Trump said something. KN later retracted, effectively saying, I heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from another. You've been messing around. Again, this is the same number of like 4 layers of telephone. Was this ever true? Again, do you believe that people lost their animals in this area and didn't report it as stolen if they found out that someone was eating them? Did you really believe they wouldn't complain? So no, 11 months of no one reporting it, but the officials are covering it up. But you also have officials covering up literal neo-Nazis in the area with firearms, obviously doing non-peaceful protesting. It's not a call to protest. That's a stick-up. Now, public disclosure. Later on when this video has been up for a while, I will remove the names for KN and EL from the video entirely, including the description. But for purposes of being upfront about it, number one, these individuals are no longer private individuals with a right to privacy about this one subject. If I bring up something about, one of them is growing a garden in their backyard, which is totally unrelated, that's actually a privacy complaint that can be filed against my YouTube channel. That would be legit. Because it's not a newsworthy thing, they're not in the news, etc. We're discussing not them. What's motivating this? Okay, now the reason I'm claiming this is not bigotry. You're living in an area and a bunch of people move in from somewhere else. They are now the other. That's a we versus them, us versus them, the them factor. Okay. That happened in my area I grew up in and happened in the town I'm living in at the time when I would do videos about how I was upset about Californians ending up changing things. Californians. Okay. Any group of people that comes in that's a group, a surge of people that has any effect on the environment, even a positive one, is going to cause stress. Are these people demonizing a group of people? I would say in effect, yes, but was that the intent? What this is me subjectively reading this. I'm not an authority figure, all right? Probably wrong, but I'm not heckling these people. I'm actually saying don't heckle them. This is people hearing of a story, can't remember the details. I would have trouble looking this up unless I looked up Canton, Ohio cat eater. That's what you do, look it up. Maybe you can get better information because all of the news sources decided to leave out, the day it happened for some fucking reason. Even though the video has it right on the screen. Journalism isn't what it used to be. But anyway, they're remembering a story. They can't corroborate it. They can't get all the details. But they know a cat was eaten. Okay. But they claim it was hung up to be butchered? Okay. What actually happened? I believe their story about finding a cat in that condition. Now we're going to do the public service announcement at the 10-minute mark or so, where I explain to you about a real concern of mine and one I've taken care of since I've been dealing with yard work. We call them fish hooks or coat hooks. On a tree out in your yard, you might have seen, and a lot of you have seen this in the forest or whatever, sometimes the tree trunk itself will produce a protruding branch. It'll just grow from a bud formation that normally doesn't do that. It usually starts with a bud on the surface and then forms a new tree limb. Sometimes called parasitic limbs. Don't look that up on image search. You'll find a completely different thing. God, don't look that up. But anyway, here we go. The parasitic limb has a disproportionate angle to it when it's first forming, and it breaks off. If it happens on a limb higher up, it doesn't break as easy. Animals go up and down trees on the trunk. When they go up, it breaks off, but it breaks off in such a way that it breaks off this way, and it leaves a sharpened point. If an animal goes up past it and slips slightly, they become gored and hung up on it. Most animals instinctively know to pull themselves up and away, but some can't. There's a similar occurrence where a sliver on a fence will form because the wood wasn't cut correctly, and an animal running along it, unfortunately my favorite animal, a squirrel, sometimes gets impaled on a splinter, or it'll happen on a nail or whatever. That's why you don't leave nails exposed on anything. Not just your hands that could be hurt, it could be a bird. This happens to birds too. If it happens on a tree limb, it's not hanging to where it opposes gravity, so you don't get stuck. But fast-moving animals will get gored and literally die in that position from trauma. They go into shock, they die. Saying, I found my cat dead hanging from a tree limb might have been this incident being that. The reason I'm saying that is there were 2 or 3 reports, not in that area, but 2 or 3 reports I could find nationally of people finding their cats like that, and then a warning that if you see these things, clip them off. I always clip them off because I've seen it happen in the wild when I was camping, and also for a period of time where I was off and on homeless over a 10-year period of time, and I'd have to go camp in a park. I would see animals get hurt that way. Most of the time they didn't get stuck. But I'd go along very, very meticulously clipping every one of these because they're dangerous. An animal that's wounded can get sick easier. They can become dangerous easier. They can carry diseases easier. There's no benefit in leaving these what we call fish hooks, gores, or coat hooks. Also, if you find a coat hook, all you have to do is cut the damn thing off. Don't blunt it. Remove it entirely, please. So that's your public service announcement for the day. That's probably what happened to the friend of the friend of the friend that they were talking about. Because it's completely different than police saw and recorded someone who was literally killing and eating a cat. The only connection between the two is a cat died and a human being is claimed to have caused it. But someone jumped to the conclusion that it was hung up like a, quote, like a deer being slaughtered. That implies it was upside down. That implies that it was hung up either by the legs or by the abdomen or the back. If it was the abdomen, the cat was going down the tree face first, which cats do occasionally, and got stuck and died from shock because it causes internal injuries that are not life-threatening, but the reaction of the body puts them in shock and they die. And this happened during what month? September. In Ohio. Maybe it was cold that night. That would mean that the shock would be lethal. So, do I believe, in fact, that this was done as some rumor mongering for evil purposes? No, I think it's rumor mongering because they're mixing up 2 stories. One, actually documented police camera recording. And 2, someone saying they found their cat probably hanging upside down from one of these gores or fish hooks, as we call them, or coat hooks. And that's probably what happened. I don't believe these individuals that I named at the beginning, and will name in the title and then remove it later, KN and EL, were being bigoted. I put it under the word bigotry because at this point it's not, the R word doesn't fit. Okay. Is Donald Trump being a racist? Yeah, he's a racist bastard. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of people that live in the area. Or in there. No, they're not, Donald. And you're repeating a story that was debunked literally a long time before you brought it up. Why? Because he was desperate to bring up something because he couldn't come up with a good comeback about something that Kamala Harris said. Pathetic. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And please go out and prune these things off your trees if you see them every time.